It's AFA Today on AFR Talk, and if you're watching on the AFA channel, there's a shot of the streets of New York. I don't think there was it? No, the song was Sidewalks of New York. Anyway, glad you're with us every single weekday. Kevin McCullough is my name. The phone number is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Breaking news, the Supreme Court today has said it is A-OK to support messages as much as you want to. We're not in the business of telling who can say what. We are not going to limit free speech. So we're not going to allow any of the caps that are in place to currently stand. Now, some of you, we've already had a couple people that were confused about this. I keep saying that money is speech. Look, if you're trying to get a message out, and try to do a few things to try to be intellectually honest about this. Take yourself out of the equation. Take the people you disagree with out of the equation. Take the people you agree with out of the equation. In other words, just think about this on the merits of the argument by itself, okay? Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to obliterate confusion, amplify truth, and to pursue clarity. That's what we do every day. So you have this idea. Sharing the gospel. And you want to share the gospel. You want to share it far and wide. You want to make sure that you tell every single person in the country about it. You have a burden in your heart to broadcast that. To hopefully penetrate every household in the country. You even want to say it as a political candidate. Now, in the past, the government has said you can only say that up to a certain extent. And beyond that amount of money, you can't say it anymore if you're a political candidate. Now they're saying you can't be limited in what you're doing. Now, I want to deal with this issue of envy of wealth because I think there's some really bad thinking on this. First of all, there is nothing wrong with being wealthy in and of itself. It, again, is an amoral circumstance. When money is a neutral instrument, it's like a pencil, it's like a fork, it's like a gun, it's like anything else that you can use for good or for bad. It is not in and of itself something that is possessed by the enemy. It is not in and of itself demonic. It is not in and of itself holy. It is in and of itself a tool that is used to process different things in life. You help supply needs that your family has with it. You may entertain yourself with it. You may use it to support causes that you agree with. You may use it to tithe to your church. There may be a number of things that you do with the actual dollars, but it is not something that in and of itself has any good or evil to by itself. Now, the catch here is a lot of people judge others by saying, well, the scripture says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And that is true. If you worship the dollar, if you live only to collect more dollars, if you make it the idol of your life, if you do not use it in a godly fashion, then you will not be pleasing to God. There will be problems that you will create out of that misplaced priority in terms of what you worship. On the other hand, the Bible also teaches that if you do what is proper with money, which is primarily to give to widows and orphans, that God will offer financial blessing upon you. So you can experience great blessing with wealth. You can perpetrate great evil with wealth. Wealth in and of itself is a neutral matter. We are to be good stewards of everything we have. Now, let me just pose this. Those that have backed Planned Parenthood for years know that the government gives them $500 million a year. They know that there's all kinds of other funding that comes in there. They spend about, I think, $3 billion, something like that, per year on all of their operations. If you're going to counter that message, then there's going to be in the public arena, in the sphere where we all live, if you're going to counter the message and the aims and the strategies of Planned Parenthood, you're not going to be able to do it on $2.50. I'm sorry. But if all you have is $2.50 to try to counter a $3 billion operation, that's not going to work. So what's the need? Well, you have need of people that have used money in a godly way and grown it into resources, and those resources should then be resourcing kingdom causes. And the last thing you want to have happen is the government come along and say, "Oh, no. Because you're trying to save the lives of little babies, Personhood USA, you're not allowed to have that television commercial air during the election cycle. You're not allowed to air that commercial that tells you that Barack Obama voted 4 times to let born kids starve and suffocate to death after they were outside their mother's wombs. You're not allowed to run that commercial because we're going to limit what you're allowed to purchase, to air, to work on." See, there's a very real connection between what you're allowed to spend and how much speech you can actually affect. And Personhood USA is a great example. They raise a ton of money. They have the biggest pro-life mailing list in the universe. And I want them to raise a lot of money. I want them to raise money, and I want them to save babies' lives because that's what God called them to. We were talking about one of the reasons why the World Vision decision last week was such a negative thing. It was a negative thing because they raise $1 billion a year, and if they're going to use part of it to dishonor God or God's kingdom, they shouldn't continue to receive it. That's my point. Money and speech go together. And the money resources the types of speech that you want to see reinforced in life. So if you're not a moral person and you want to see bad things happen, you're going to put your money there. Men that complain about different things, but they spend money on pornography, they are making a statement about God, about their marriage, about their family, about their life, through where they're spending their money. Every dime that you spend is an expression of who you are. Likewise, in the public policy arena, American Family Radio, one of the vaunted organizations that's fighting the good fight, but seen by the mainstream press as being, some sort of evil monster that's trying to, practice a theocracy upon our culture. Oh, we gotta limit what they can do. See, this is no. When speech attempts to be limited, you scream louder. The very thing that they want you to do when they limit speech is the very opposite thing of what you should do. And the Supreme Court got this right. Being able to give as much to a cause as you believe in as you possibly can, you should have that right. That's a divine right. That's just an extension of the freedom of speech that God has given us. 888-589-8840. Let's go to Gary in Mississippi. Hi, Gary. Welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough.
Hey, Kevin. I agree with you on that Supreme Court thing, but I got a question for you.
Okay.
This guy, George Soros, is he an American-born billionaire or whatever the heck he is, or is he from some foreign country?
I thought he was from Hungary.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
But I could be wrong. I haven't researched that in a little while. I'm pretty sure he's of Hungarian birth.
Yeah. So what's he got to say about what we do here in our country?
It's not just us. He has tried to undermine elections in most of the Western European countries as well. Look, he's a globalist. He has an idea that he should be in charge of running the universe. Yeah, and so he's figured out ways to try to prop that agenda up.
Isn't he an Obama guy? Isn't Obama his?
He totally is. And which is why I think it's ironic that all of the Obama people today are complaining and crying about the Supreme Court ruling when one of their very own who helped Obama basically come to power did so through using money to affect speech.
You got it. Hey, keep up the good work, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate you. 888-589-8840. Let's go to Becky in Texas. Hi, Becky.
Yes. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
I'm going to make a comment, and then I'm going to hang up and let you just discuss it. I see the merit in what you're saying about the decision today, the Supreme Court decision, but I kind of have some concerns, and I'll tell you why. Something you said right before the break about you wish there were more righteous, wealthy people. Yes, wealth is a tool that can be used, but you have to remember that that tool is wielded according to the beliefs and the goals of the wielder, of the person using it. And the honest reality is that most wealthy people today in the United States are not moral, righteous people. And so, based on experience...
But wait. Becky, where do you come to that decision?
I want to say this, that I have nothing against wealthy people at all. That's not it. I admire those people for working for that. And, they got there by their own bootstraps and their own work. But the reality is, honestly, and I don't have stats in front of me, that most wealthy people do not tend to be moral, conservative, Christian, whatever term you want to use. And so, if that money is going to
I don't know where you're coming up with those statistics, because I've never seen.
I don't have any stats.
I've never seen, but I will tell you some characteristics of wealthy people that I've read about, and that is, first of all, I think wealthy folks vote about down the middle in terms of which party they belong to. There are some extremely wealthy conservatives, and there's some extremely wealthy liberals, and then there's, fairly wealthy in each category, and there's moderately wealthy, and there's minimally wealthy, and there's middle class and poor. There's some in each category. The difference between many of those that are on the right that have wealth is that they have figured out that if you follow God's laws as it pertains to caring for those in need, oftentimes He will bless you even more. So, for instance, people like Mr. Letourneau, who started Letourneau University in Longview, Texas. It's a great flight school. I had a cousin who went there. He now flies for Alaska Airlines. Mr. Letourneau was well known for giving away 99% of everything that he earned. He gave it away. He gave it to mission causes. He gave it to feed people who were hungry. And as a result, that family continued to become wealthier and wealthier over time. But they affected a great number of lives. Just like that, in this day and age, there are people that follow God's laws in caring for those who are hungry, and I actually think that's the church is the one that's called to do that, not the government. And that when they do that, it's a spiritual law that goes into effect. It's not even incumbent upon whether or not someone's a believer. If you help someone who is in need, God promises He will bless you. And so I don't know how all of the people on the left got their wealth, but as I have talked to people that are of considerable means on the right, most of them tend to be faith-based. Almost all of them tend to be extraordinarily generous in terms of what they use their wealth for. And God honors that. He blesses that. You do a Bible study on the use and effect of money in the Scripture, and you will find that this is a promise, that God, you cannot outgive God. You give, and God replaces and gives more in abundance as a result of that if you give in the way that He honors.
Right. Am I still on? I would like to say
you are.
To that.
You are.
Yes, I hear what you're saying. I agree. And I'm familiar, actually, with Letourneau University, which has an excellent reputation. Mm-hmm. However, I still would say, and I'm not basing this on stats, I just don't have them here in my hand, but simply what I'm seeing in my 57 years on this earth and being fairly politically active is that it tends to be a trend or whatever that people, usually wealthy people, tend not to be morally based or conservative or Christian with their money, and so you get a lot more of the negative use of money, and that's
I don't accept that premise, Becky, and that's where you and I are going to disagree. In a friendly disagreement. We'll work on the statistics and come back to it. But I've not seen evidence of that. What I do know evidence of is that the wealthy people that I know that use their wealth for good purposes, God continues to bless. And I actually, being afraid, look, whose dollars are more powerful, the devil's or God's? At the end of the day, I'm not worried about the devil's dollars. But I don't want government saying that God's dollars can't be used to be part of the conversation. And that's what the Supreme Court said today. They said, we're not going to put limits on what you allow to go into the discussion in the mainstream. And I think if anybody teaches that most wealthy people are evil or that most wealth is used for evil, again, that's just ridiculous on its face. How many of you have ever worked for a dirt poor person? None. Because there is no one that can employ dirt poor people. People that are successful in what they do, that build companies, that honor God in the process of doing that, those are the people that hire other people. And we all owe, on some level at some point in time, our job to people who have been generous. with the wealth that they've accumulated or that they've earned. 888-589-8840. Let's go to Russell in Alabama. Hi, Russell.
Hi, Kevin. I just want to say amen.
Thank you, sir.
Brother. I really appreciate your staying in AFR, and I support AFA Ministries. The guy a while ago said, how can the little guy stand up against all this money? I'll give you a good example. The National Rifle Association. We would not have our guns today if it was not for the National Rifle Association. They get their money from where? 2 million members.
Right.
That pay their dues. That's the little guy.
Yeah, no, and the power of working together like that is actually very, very true. It's very powerful.
And there was another issue that seems to be being brought on your program today. These people call in wanting to criticize rich people. I think we got a problem with the Ten Commandments not being taught in this country because isn't there something in the Ten Commandments about coveting? It seems to me there's a lot of jealousy of people who have worked to earn their money.
Russell, that may or may not be true. I'm not in a position to judge their hearts, and I'm not in a position to say that that's what they're doing. They have fears, and I'm not here to discount their fears. What I am trying to do is obliterate the confusion around them, amplify the truth, and then help us all pursue clarity together. The Supreme Court ruling today was good for America, was good for families, is good for the moral climate of our country. This is a good thing for us. We should celebrate that. I'm Kevin McCullough, Brian Fisher, Focal Points on the way. This is AFA Today on AFR Talk, and we are thrilled to be with you every weekday right here. See you tomorrow.